Hey man, get that thing out of the way. It's game time. Are you tired of being played by barbershops who just can't seem to get it right? Do you get tired of silly games your barber plays with something as serious as your haircut? Are you ready for a real cut? Well, come to Game Time Barbershops. We're open 7 days a week. No ride? No problem. We offer Uber haircuts. Located 2409 South Lumpkin Road, Columbus, Georgia. Call us at 762-821-2581. Like us on Facebook. Call today. Game Time Barbershop for the winning cut.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Chip, and you are watching New Way to Live Network. Bam.
Vibrant area, and then it went into a year. Grass was growing through the asphalt, and it was just an area, an economically depressed area. And so
Hello everybody, this is Johnny Newsom with Financial Solution and Associates, and you're tuned into New Way to Live Network.
It encouraged private development, and you can see across the street what has happened with the banks and with the commercial businesses across the street, and this area is just it's great and it's growing, and I'm so proud of it. And then Midtown came along, and they used a model similar to Uptown Inc. And it was they've been able to be very active and not just make sure that this small area here where we are grow and develop, but Midtown has boundaries. I can't name those boundaries for you, but it's a pretty huge area, and they are making impact and placing emphasis all over Midtown. So it's something that I'm proud of. I hope you are. And we've got the new Performing Arts School going right behind us. But welcome. We're here to answer your questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mayor.
I want to welcome our Mayor Pro Tem, Evelyn Turner Pugh, who's joined us, and thank her so much for being here. And ask Mike Baker if he'd come down as the counselor for this district, just say hello and provide a few words.
I'll be brief. Thanks for coming out tonight. I guess if you were looking at the lines on the map, my district starts, I guess, in the middle of Macon Road and runs up through Columbus State and through the area of St. Thomas, a church in my district, and proud to represent that district where I've lived for 59 years now. And I think Councilor Barnes comes in from the south and Councilor Huff from the west, so we all converge in this area, so we all work together to try to keep the area moving as positive as possible. And like the city manager, I grew up in this area, saw it go down, saw it, seen it make a very dramatic turnaround and come back, and the citizens, as a result, caused that. Through various types of sales tax initiatives and things like that. We hadn't done that. Y'all have done that. Y'all came to the table and contributed and invested in the area, and then this is the result. State-of-the-art library, of course our citizen service center next door, aquatic center. I hope y'all have a chance to go in there, because it's truly something that a sight to behold if you hadn't. I don't know where you're going to go in a city this size and see something like that. So we've come a long way, and we hope to keep the momentum going. Obviously, we have problems and that we all wrestle with, and thank the public safety people who come out tonight. I know that's always a concern at these meetings, and we'll do everything we can to address your public safety issues. Thank you for coming.
All right. Well, if you all haven't been to Let's Talk with the Mayor, it's 75 minutes of open mic. It's your show. I thought I might do something a little different today. Who knows how this will go, but I'd like to open it up to the citizens to start off. It is the Christmas season, the holiday season, the season of, quote, hope. And as you heard the city manager and Mike say, a lot of things happened in this city. Happened because people had vision and hope for something that others could not see. When I first moved to Columbus in 1994, The only thing going on in downtown Columbus was something called the Pillow Talk, and I ain't going to tell you what that is, okay? That was the only business that was opened after about 5:30 p.m. So, and now look at it. Midtown was definitely headed in a direction that was causing concern as far as dilapidated buildings, infrastructure that was crumbling, and it was going to take a lot of effort to turn that train around, and it has largely been done. So that happened because of big visions, bold ideas, audacious activities on behalf of citizens who came to the elected officials and said, we're ready to partner with you to change our neighborhood, change our community, and do great things. So with that, I'd like to start off, and if nobody wants to jump on the microphone right away, that's fine too, but keep it as a theme running. I want to hear, what is your bold and audacious idea for how this city could be better? Because you just don't know. We might be able to do that. And you go to these other cities, we travel sometimes and go see things, and they tell us the same story. Columbus is not different from other communities. They tell us about being fearful of how their community was headed in a downward spiral of economic distress or blight or whatever it may be, crime in a particular area. And somebody, some group of people had a bold idea. And many people thought that was impossible. And yet, it happened. So, if you don't feel comfortable starting off with that, I want you to think about it. I'd love to hear some bold, audacious ideas before we leave to set the pace for what just might happen in Columbus, Georgia in the future. So now it's your show. I want to turn it over to you for questions, comments, concerns. Just, hey, how does that work? And why has it taken so long? And, you know, what about that stoplight and that road project and whatever it might be? You got the right people in the room to answer the questions. So who wants to start off? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Cedric Mitchell, and today we're going to talk about getting an estimate during tax time. You definitely want to get an estimate during tax time. It's very important to shop around, but it's also very important to keep your identity and your secure information safe. When doing an estimate with any tax company, you do not need your full social, your full date of birth, or any of your pertinent information as with your employer. So feel free to get an estimate, but make sure you shop around safely. The year of birth, Social Security card, Social Security is not required, so be careful when getting Social Security cards and W-2s, because there are many tax offices out here that are legitimate, but there are also many that are not. And what they will do is e-file your return as soon as you leave, even though you haven't signed any documentation. A lot of people don't know that the IRS will only take a Social Security number for you or a dependent once. So be careful when you shop around and be safe.
We're going to get you a microphone. We're going to have folks running around getting your microphones. And just, if you would just state your first name. And
name's Jason, and my main question is, every month when they do the jobs report, Columbus is always the highest unemployment rate in the state, and I'm wondering what is happening to change that, because Augusta is a lesser population, but almost twice the number of jobs, so just wondering what we're doing to get that.
yeah, and I don't know about twice the number of jobs, but they certainly have higher job growth than we do, and I very much appreciate the question. We used to be sort of south of middle of the pack, but not dead last, until fairly recently. And to be very candid with you, a lot of that is the result of the drawdown at the end or the wind down of some of the conflicts in the Middle East, right? And the change in those dynamics. And so those drawdowns had an effect on the businesses that service those individuals. Reduction in employment and so forth has a ripple effect throughout the community. You hear the chamber talk about the effects of that all the time. And so we are not keeping pace with job growth. So what are we doing? Actually, I went to, there's been a fabulous series of very progressive, thoughtful meetings called the Regional Prosperity Initiative that the Chamber's leading in conjunction with Columbus Tech and CSU. These are some of the things that sort of hold us back and hurt us. Like a lot of cities, we struggle with our workforce. We don't have a workforce for some of the jobs that are available. So there's training that can come in, and we can partner with the state to have training ideas. We can't attract some of the businesses that you see in other communities that are closer to the Atlanta megapolis because they look at our numbers for workforce, education levels and so forth, and we don't seem to meet their criteria. But we have strategies for working with them. We've even had major employers like NCR where we attracted them to Columbus to create 500 jobs, for instance, by telling them we would partner with CSU and Columbus Tech to actually train individuals for the jobs they needed. So very particularized efforts to provide them the workforce they need. So that's some of the most immediate issues, and how we will turn it around is one, recuperating from the immediate loss of the Fort Benning drawdown. Some of these initiatives that we're working on to be very proactive and creative, changing the equation of how we attract some of these businesses. Also, we were a little bit behind, and frankly we're making it up quite well, in what they call quality of life amenities. A lot of times people say, why do you have bike trails? I don't ride a bike. I don't use the natatorium. Nobody I know swims. Yeah, but you know, when these huge companies are looking to bring their businesses here, frankly, businesses we have that employ thousands of people, like Aflac and TSYS, they're looking at quality of life equations, because that's what they want for their employees, and that's what the top employees demand. They can't attract the talent that they want to attract if we don't have that, quote, quality of life. So some things that have helped us that seem maybe at first glance to be completely unrelated to the jobs market are whitewater, bike trails, things like the skate rink and the semi-pro teams we have and that kind of thing, because it creates a certain quality of life quotient that these major employers look for, and frankly you're completely non-competitive if you don't have them. The other thing is we're transitioning from a manufacturing world like it used to be. Everything is now automated, as you know, and this is a national discussion. That's what's requiring the sort of higher workforce, as everybody has to know how to work with this high-level automation, computers, and so forth. But we're transitioning, frankly, into a more entrepreneurial economy, which is different than the baby boomers are used to, different than even the Gen Xers are used to. The millennials are setting a new industry that has to do with creative markets, has to do with entrepreneurial opportunities, and Columbus was not necessarily well set up for that. And so we've had to retool. You now see us with some of these maker spaces and some of these efforts to help entrepreneur creative ideas bud and then get mentored through to actually being a business leader. Why? Because we want the next 3M to be here. We want the next Aflac to be here. That's the greatest way to get these jobs. Sure, you can try to lure them from Austin or Birmingham or Augusta, but if you want a major job growth, what you want is that guy who invented Coca-Cola here, 150 something years ago, the three brothers that went door to door and started Aflac years ago. You want that next generation of entrepreneur here. And so those are some of the things we're doing. Some of them are very specific, like I said, with training opportunities and other sort of incentives to bring people to Columbus with jobs. Others are trying to create a market here where we're creating our own jobs through entrepreneurial and small business development and growth. And so we're retooling the chamber from an old model, frankly. We perhaps relied on it a little too long. And we're trying to create that infrastructure that makes us competitive with others. It's multifaceted. So, what else? Yes, ma'am.
Peace and prosperity to you. I'm Dr. J. Aleem Hood, the host and executive producer of Dr. Hood's Visions. You're watching New Way to Live Network.
Good afternoon. Mayor, I'm a new citizen here in this fair city of Columbus. Since I've been here since February of this year, I've seen a lot of things that very, very distasteful. I live over on the south side of town, and over where the Spencer School is gonna be built, I am concerned about the crime rate in that area with this glamorous school being built, with our precious cargo going there day in and day out. And nothing bothers me. These grown men walking up and down the street with the open beer in their hands, and they pant down below they, you know what? Is there ordinance on the books for the city of Columbus to address that issue?
All right, a couple things. Great questions, and thank you. Tell me your name.
Juanita Upshaw.
Well, Ms. Upshaw, thank you for coming, and so glad to have you in Columbus. I'm going to let the city manager address some specifics about Spencer High School. I want to tell you something that's such an exciting project, and I know it's really hard to imagine to look at a distressed area, a blighted area where there may be crime or people disrespecting the public realm in some of the ways you've talked about, and imagine it changing, but it does, and it's happened in cities. It's happened in this city, as I've just mentioned, a couple of instances, and the city manager mentioned as well. But it's happened all over this country where there's been places that you would think, I would never put a school there, I would never put a business there. And then you bring enough synergy, you bring in enough investment, enough pride back that people care about it, they start taking ownership in that school. They start taking ownership in those new houses that are there. And pretty soon they won't tolerate the disrespect of the public realm, the neighborhood. They won't tolerate reckless behavior that they feel is endangering their family, their property, or whatever. So it's called the broken window syndrome, that you know your community is going down when you start seeing neighbors or businesses with broken windows they do not fix. Because that starts to send a message to everybody, we don't really care about this area. It's not worthy of our respect. Even we don't respect ourselves in our neighborhood, right? We don't care enough to fix our window. Well, it has a reverse effect. People start changing windows and start investing and taking pride in those areas. So you're going to see the effort of the Spencer School is going to be tremendous. It's not just Spencer High School. It's not going to be just a box. It's going to be all of these things around it, the sports facilities and the access the community is going to have. And it's now, and it hasn't already been approved, but they're talking about perhaps it should be a TAD so that there could be some private development investment in that area. So I want to convey that to you to say they're thinking big. They're thinking huge. And that will provide jobs for the people that right now think that their highest and best use is to walk around holding a beer with their pants around their knees all day long. They might take another option, perhaps. Maybe people coming into that neighborhood might reach out to them, whatever, the community will be more connected. And hopefully you'll see less of what you're seeing already. I'll answer about the pants, and then I'm turning it over to the city manager. No, we don't have an ordinance against pants being down below the hips. It's because it's unconstitutional. And I know in a lot of cities, a lot of great cities, a lot of sister cities, they pass those anyway. Because great citizens like you come and say, I want an ordinance against that. And they think, I really like her. I'm going to give her what she wants. But it's as unconstitutional and worthless. It's not worth the paper it's written on. And the reason why is because, believe it or not, that's self-expression, free speech and expression. Now, unless they're being lewd, right, and it is a specific statute about certain parts of the body you cannot reveal in public without being arrested or ticketed, depending on the circumstance. That if you're not going that far, we can't stop it. And I'll give you an example, because you look like you were an adult in the 80s. So I was a young adult in the 80s too. And you remember Madonna? You remember her fashion trend? My father had a heart attack when he saw that there was this woman who was wearing fishnet tops with her underwear showing, basically. But oh, all the young girls, of course, I couldn't wear them, but you know, because my dad and my mom wouldn't let me. But believe you me, there were plenty of young ladies running around in fishnet tops, if you remember. And so you can't stop bad taste. Just can't do it. Can't stop ugly, can't stop bad taste. So my hope is that they have a lot of pictures of themselves taken looking like that, and then when they get to be 20, 30 years older, somebody shows them a picture of how they used to dress, and they feel a bit of a fool. But it's the fashion, and we can't legislate against it. So here you go. Talk about Spencer.
Thank you, Mayor. I heard the mayor mention the word thinking big, and you heard me talk about Uptown briefly. I'm from Columbus, as I said. In 1985, when I moved back to Columbus, Uptown was a ghost town. I mean, we really put the traffic signals on flash at 5:30 because there was nothing going on downtown. And they were thinking big. It took 25, 30 years to get us to where we are and what we have in Uptown. It'd take me another hour to tell you about all those things, but they were thinking big. Midtown, you heard me mention that, with Columbus Square Mall and economically depressed. They were thinking big. It took some years to get us to where we are in Midtown. When you think about where the Spencer High School is going to be, we have really been thinking big for a few years now. The city was thinking big. We went in, and on Fort Benning Road, that you may not be familiar with if you just moved here in February, but let me just say, when I graduated high school, I lived at 96E Baker Village, right there in that area. And the city went in, and where the new school is going to go, the city acquired and assembled more than 40 acres of property, anticipating redevelopment, new development.
Hello, my name is Liz Shanti, and I would like for you to watch our show, The A Girl Show, right here on New Way to Live Network. ADD, what's up? ADD, what's up?
Did you know that in today's society, your credit score is like a vital sign in the hospital? It's being monitored at all times. If not by you, certainly someone else is monitoring your credit. It can have various impacts over your life. It can impact your insurance premiums as well as your interest rates. You can be denied the ability to rent a home, purchase a car, get a credit card, or even more, you can be denied employment. Did you know that over the course of your lifetime, less than an excellent credit rating could cost you over $150,000? 20% of credit reports have errors on them, causing lower credit scores. But did you know this? The Fair Credit Reporting Act gives all Americans, including you, the right to dispute and or investigate any item on their credit report. Inaccurate, erroneous, or obsolete items such as late payments, charge-offs, foreclosures, judgments, repossessions, bankruptcies, tax liens, collections, short sales, medical bills, and many other items can be removed from your credit file or can be updated to reflect paid as agreed. Hey, you don't have a minute to waste. Call me today at 706-366-5520. Again, that's 706-366-5520. Let's get started increasing your credit score.
Currently have internet access at Metro, and this is as of, I think, October. IT department and Public Works got together and did whatever they had to do, but we have access there. And so the next phase will be Wi-Fi on the buses. So I think the IT department will be soon testing one bus to see what the access will be like. And this is something that we will phase in over time. Of course, we have 23 buses running out there on the routes all day long, and probably about 8 paratransit buses. And so we won't have access on every bus at the same time, but over time, as funding becomes available, we will have access on buses. Okay?
Question, does Metro not go to DMV?
Do we not go to the DMV?
Do you drive through there now? Because a lot of people complain.
No, sir. We do not go to the DMV. You know, for some reason, people feel that lots and lots of people want to go to the DMV every day, and that's really not the case.
Yes, they do.
The numbers are not as high as we seem to think. You know, when you go to the DMV, you see a lot of people there, but most of those people are not transit users. Those are people who are going to get an automobile. We get about 10 requests a year to go to the DMV, and those requests come from people who want to renew an ID. Not people who want to work there or frequent the DMV. They're just, once they get their ID renewed, it's good for what, 3 years? They don't have a reason to go back, and then once they go and get a driver's license, they're driving. So the numbers are not as high. When we had the transit assessment, the consultants looked at the, I guess, top 10 reasons or things that people wanted in transit. And of course, later service was the top ranking. The DMV was on the list, but it was probably number 6 or 7. So people wanted later service. They wanted service in areas that buses didn't travel. And they wanted more frequent service on Saturdays. So that's what we have right now. And so that's over a 10-year period. So we're trying to make it work at Metro. We want you to ride and try out the new buses. We bought 4 new buses with the T-Splosh money, hybrid. So you really you can barely hear them running through your neighborhood. So any more questions for Metro?
I appreciate the question about the DMV, and it absolutely will stay on the list. I know there are, if you work in social services with any organization, you know that there are people that need IDs. And then, of course, they're located in usually our more populous, denser areas, right? And so then you put the DMV, which by the way we didn't do, it's a state thing, but somebody put the DMV way the heck out, you know, in the cow where it used to be cow pasture, and expects everybody to be able to get up there that maybe struggle with homelessness or other type issues. And so we do have social service organizations and some entities that help shuttle people every so often. You may know of those. And usually we have a representative here that can tell us a little bit more about it, but that information can be had if you'd like to spread it around in your particular field or industry. So we do recognize that as an issue. It's just as Rosa said, trying to set those priorities and fund the things that people really need. And so now we have where people can, on shift work, can actually get to work. And that helps with our labor force and job opportunities. Councilor Baker had just one little thing he was going to add about the jobs.
Well, who had the question on small business?
That was me, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
I mean, those are the people I represent every day in my accounting practice.
Absolutely.
And what we've seen through the last 40, 50 years, we had this mentality that we had to separate. We had to put all the retail over here, jobs and office buildings here and houses over here, and it's gotten separated. Well, the only place I can go is get in the car and go to a massive retail center and buy, and we're trying to slowly turn around the battleship. We've had some pretty strong planning initiatives and studies going on about reestablishing mixed-use areas, put some houses, put some retail, put some office buildings in the same places, and you don't have to be scared of each other. You can get along fine, and you can support the businesses that are there. And that, again, we're in the early stages of that, but there's been a lot of serious studies that we've done here locally about where to maximize investment to keep the small businesses going. we were just talking about the internet, and you know, that cuts both ways. That the internet's changed our world. It's been good for all of us. But the one thing that it's hurt us on is that, and I've seen this with my own eyes, I've seen a shopper go into a small business, pull out a cell phone with an app, check the SKU or the barcode, and it brings up 4 cheaper prices. And they walk out to the parking lot and have it shipped to their house with what? And with possibly with free shipping and no sales tax, if it's from an out-of-state vendor with no nexus here. So that puts our small business owners at a competitive disadvantage, but that's a congressional issue. Congress is the only one that controls interstate commerce. And the last I've heard, they're 5 years out from taking a serious look at equalizing the sales tax issue, if it can be equalized, because there's protection in the Constitution against that. But so when people do that, and I know nobody here would shop online and not pay sales tax, but keep in mind that 8%, of course, 4 goes to the state, but where does that money go? It goes to our policemen, it goes to our firemen, and it goes to our school teachers. So that's my issue. You know, if you're going to shop on the internet, fine, but you know, use a vendor that at least pays sales tax so we can pay our folks. Because it has a major impact on putting small business at a disadvantage and our budget issues. You know, that's where the money comes from. And it's no secret. You can pull it up in the finance department anytime you want to. Our sales tax revenues have been flat to down for 6, 7, 8 years in a row. So it's becoming a budget issue as well as a small business issue.
Hi, my name is Felicia L. Hamilton, and you're watching New Way to Live TV.
Hello, my name is Juan Lane, and thank you for tuning in to this station, New Way to Live. Listen, we can't do it without your help. We need you to send your donations in today. This is how this station operates, and we're trying to do the very best for you and your family with the production that we have. We are really giving it our all, but we cannot continue it without your financial support. So please send your offerings in to P.O. Box 3615, Columbus, Georgia 3631903, in care of New Way to Live, and we'll make sure that we get it on so we can keep this great program going. If you and your family are enjoying it, we pray that you continue we pray that you send us a offering that we can continue it and do the very best for you. Also, make sure that you watch our public education program. This is a very special program where it can help you prepare for your next test. The public education program right here on New Way to Live. Thank you. Did you know that the majority of people have no will, trust, or power of attorney? What will happen to your children, property, or other assets? If you can't make decisions for yourself, who will know your wishes? Will the appropriate people know where to find all of your personal and financial documentations and information? Well, we have a program developed by attorneys to complete at your own pace from the comfort of your home. You can update this program as needed with no add-ons or surprise fees. You can secure all of your important information in this virtual password-protected safety deposit box with easy-to-use services and client support system available. Please call me today at 706-366-5520. Again, call me today at 706-366-5520. I hope to hear from you soon.